Alright, this is where the two little buildings wiring comes out, this one and this one. Here's the panel I made up, there's the buck converter. These are the two switches for that goes there, that goes there. This is going to go off. This here is power, so that's going to just solder, and you can see this is a removable connection. Need to figure out the best placement for this. I'm thinking that'll go there, and that needs to go somewhat like that. I'm just going to hot glue them in place, and these wires will coil up. And this will pick up power that's going to come through from way over on the other side there. Okay, hot glue applied, and that guy's stuck in place. Now, while this has a connector, it shouldn't be coming off at all. So we can just put that like that. Put hot glue on these nuts. Put just a dab of hot glue on the back of this, one of these connectors. Well, maybe it's on both. Actually, that was on my finger. Yeah, those are firm. Okay, tuck that in there. That goes there. Off, on, off, on. Okay, so those are both ready for lights on the other side. I'll turn this guy off. Now I'm going to figure out how to get power to here from way over that way. Power is going to come in here with the opposite barrel connector from this. So it'll come into here, and then it will distribute from here so that one run will go all the way across to there. Alright, here you see this coming in. It's plugged into the other table via this. There's positive here, negative here, so I'll be able to tap my power cables into here. And actually there's another spot on the back if I need more, and then run them across the table. Next up is to populate this guy. I have these. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. And those are just all going to go in to their little spots there like that. And I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue in order to get them in. And in addition to that, I need my potentiometers, which are living somewhere over here. So that's 102s, so I need a couple of 102s. Make sure. There, those are 102s. And I'll need 3 of the 103s. That's all I need those for. So what'll happen is switch goes in like that. Potentiometer goes in like that. And then if it's forward, it'll be on. If it's back, it'll be off. So turn it on and then turn the pot all the way on or all the way off. So what we have here is power in. That'll be 12 volts. Remember, this is the 12 volt higher voltage side. This is the buck converter. And this is the lower voltage 3 volt side. So if we flip this over, can see how this wire comes in, and we have a connection here and a connection here that go through to the buck converter here, and then the out of the buck converter goes to here. So these wires will get soldered on here. Each of these has 3 additional outputs, 1 for each of these, so each of these will get 12 volts, positive and negative. And each of these will get their power from the buck converter, so it'll be 3 volts, positive and negative on each terminal. And then after that, these guys will get installed, and they just get pushed through like this after they have wires on them. And then they'll connect on one side here only, so they'll just take either the positive or the negative and boost it out, while the negative wire from here will just go straight, and they'll both go out about yay far. And then I'll put connectors on these wires so that everything on there can easily plug in. Alright, all of these are now soldered up. Haven't tested them yet, but I'm going to make sure that there isn't an issue with my soldering. So I've got a skinny little file, and I'm just filing the insides of all these posts to make sure I haven't accidentally got a solder bridge or a wire going across. And once I've done this, I'll go back and do my testing. So it's just going through there with this little guy. So now the way this works is power 12 volt comes in there. These 2 wires go to the boost converter, or the buck converter, which steps it down to 3 volts coming out here. I've got positive, 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 and negative. So these are all connected out, low power, higher power. Now to hook up my digital multimeter and make sure that these are working, both that I've got the right positive connection where I should have and the right negative, and also that the switches themselves will work. Concept is going to be that when these switches go towards the potentiometers, which still have to be put in, that they get power, and when they're in the opposite, then they're not going to get power. That's the idea. Well, I guess I should have done testing earlier. I found out that one of these switches was defective, so I had to desolder, pull it, put it back in, resolder. But everything's good now, up to this point. So now we got to put these guys in. These guys, which will be interesting. I have to solder the wires on here first, then push them through, then solder onto here. We're at the stage where we've got two low voltage ones all ready to go. Everything's in place. I now have to do these three, which are the 12 volt ones. I've been using this hookup wire that I just bought. The thing I found is the insulation is quite thick on it, and it's making it difficult when I get down into places like that. You can see I've used it. So I'm going to switch to this, which is supposed to be the same gauge of wire, except this is a solid copper, whereas this, if I recall correctly, is, yeah, it's stranded. Anyway, I plan to use this for the extensions of these three. One of the issues I have is trying to put on the little connectors for these guys, are crimp-ons, and they crimp on okay, but they won't insert into the little hole there. It's because of the insulation being too big. So, as I say, I'm going to switch to this stuff. All I'm going to do here is do a quick measurement and say it's about that long, which is 5 inches long. We'll cut all three of them at the same time. Be nice when I'm through doing this, I can clean up my mess here. Okay, there's the three wires. And what we want to do with the red wire is hook it up to this guy. In order to hook it up to this guy, we want a piece of wire that's, I believe, an inch long. Yeah, that's a little bit long. Turn that on first. Just turning on the soldering iron. We'll get this in position. And my glue gun needs to be turned on as well. Okay, so first up, I need to get the insulation off the very end. Use a soldering iron for that. That's all I do there. Have a cloth I can wipe it on. Clean it up. Okay, yep, that all looks good. Get some solder and we'll touch it on in here, tin this guy. And we'll tin this one as well. Those are the two leads that I'm going to use, and add a bit of solder in here and tin this. And this just goes on here like this. You see, just holding it against it there does well. Now visually inspect it. Yep, that's not going to come apart. Okay, to measure how far, where I'm going to cut this off, we'll pass this through this guy like this, where it's going to go, about like that. It's got to go back to there. So I need to cut it about there. Which makes it about 3/4 of an inch long. In any case, this goes back in here. And we'll grab our red wire here. Let me cut. And we'll take the insulation off the very end. And we'll go ahead and tin this. And remember that the one we got tinned, if I remember correctly, is double check to make sure. Yep, it's that one. That's one I was hoping it was. So we hold this wire in against it. Double check to make sure it looks good. Oh yeah, that's good. And we'll get rid of the insulation on the other end of this guy. And we're going to leave the long one for now. Double check on how this goes through. Okay, that all goes through. It'll go through there fine. Okay. Now, pull it out a bit. Get the hot glue gun, which now has a green light on it. And we squirt some hot glue into this area. Yeah, the hot glue gun doesn't always cooperate at the start here. There it starts to go. Then position this guy where I want it. There we go. Let that all dry. Okay. Then we take this pair of tweezers here. We take a red wire. and skillfully manipulate the wire around the post. Squeeze it together. In this case, I need a second set of tweezers to hold it down while the first set squeezes it in, because it's at a kind of a weird angle there. There we go, that's good. I'm going to come in with the soldering iron, heat that up. Some solder on it. That looks good. Now with the file, we'll file in between here to make sure there's no solder bridge that way. Looking back here, don't like the way this one looks, so we'll got a little exposed wire there, so I'm going to shoot it with a bit of this. The advantage of glue is that if I can put it on here, and it acts as an insulator. So the hot glue will be an insulator there. Now the next step is just to take the black wire and attach it there. So to do that, we bare the end of the black wire. And then again, this time we're going to take this okay, we got the I need 2 pair of tweezers to do this. All I'm going to do here is do a quick measurement and say it's about that long, which is 5 inches long. We'll cut all 3 of them at the same time. Be nice when I'm through doing this, I can clean up my mess here. Okay, there's the 3 wires. Now what I do here is we'll put those aside for now, and for here we'll unwind these guys. And what we want to do